a little bit of blue for the sky at the top. So maybe a bit of blue up here. It feels quite a nice texture, the Baohong. Definitely more texture than the Saunders and Waterford, that's for sure. So a lot of warmth in here. So there's the light area on the tree, and I think I'm going to go with yellow ochre opposed to the cadmium yellow. It's, it gives me a much more natural looking color, I think. So there's maybe that bit of light coming in here. There's light going across here. I've got a bit of warmth there. Carries in there. So kind of just looking to see what's happening in the scene, and maybe even just leave just a bit of dry brush with white paper shining through there, which gives me more contrast with the trees. And maybe like I did with the other painting, that didn't work too bad, and a bit of red here, so that will come through in the shadows maybe. So that's the road as well going off there. So let's dry that off, or before we do, let's put these distant trees in while it's damp. But that'll send them back into the distance. Let's keep it towards blue. Makes it look like a long way away. So yeah, this definitely feels like it stays wet for longer than the Archers. Back to the Escoda Ultima brush, and I tend to go for painting the things furthest away. That kind of works the best, I think. So we've got some warm trees over here. So we'll maybe just touch that cadmium yellow just to make a sort of an orange, but it's not too thick. It's still very watery. I don't want anything here that's going to be, oh, forgot it was still damp, talking away. So damp paper is going to be good here because it'll create softness along here, and maybe we'll put some of that warmth along the top of the hedge there. And as long as I don't mess about, manipulate it too much, it won't disturb and mix with that blue. So I'll keep that colour how I want it. And I'll just throw a little bit behind those trees, but I want to keep the light behind those trees for the contrast. So maybe let's go for painting these trees. It's probably okay to do it now, but could wait for it to, or use a hairdryer, but let's just go for it. So got to be dark paint. That now this needs to be painted first time around, really. So again, color wise, people will ask, what colors did I use, blah blah blah, but honestly I don't know which ones I've just mixed into there. I'm just instinctively going for a dark and maybe steering towards blue, so we'll have a combination of cold colors, warm colors. So I just dipped into the red, so I'm always contradicting myself when I'm doing these demos. I notice it when I edit the videos. Right, so maybe just throw a bit of water on it, like I did with the other one. So just flick a bit of water on there. So this is the Escoda Versatile brush. That's going to be quite good, I think, for doing these trees. And I will probably just use various colors here. So as long as I let some of that light come through, like so, I'll start off with leaving more than I think I'm going to need, because I'm bound to not leave as much as I want. So I can always take some away, but you can't put it back. Once the white paper's gone, it's gone. So aim to have the bead down here, that slightly thicker down here and thicker at the top there. Wrong brush. Back to the Skoda Ultimo. I did actually put out a bit of Viridian. I've never used Viridian, but it could be a chance to use it here. So while we were sort of doing green paintings, the reason I don't really use Viridian, particularly not on its own, it's just so powerful, but maybe it's quite cool. Let's just let it run down on there, see what happens. And I do experiment a lot with watercolor, and that's, sometimes you'll end up with a mess, but sometimes you'll end up with something quite, impressive. But you obviously don't know when you're going to get the good or the bad stuff. But that might be okay. But again, don't mess about with it too much. That's what causes mud. Messing about with it. Let's go for a slightly smaller brush, and maybe we'll use some of that Viridian to come across here. So this is the bank. Bring that down there. So that kind of directs the eye where we want it to go. So a bit of yellow into that. Mix on the paper. So this is obviously receiving quite a bit of light, so it's all nice and bright. And then it's darker as it disappears off here. But if I do all this while it's wet, hopefully it will create some interesting effects. So we'll go with that. So we've got damp paper there, dry paper there. So let's just put that tree in there that's kind of going off in all sorts of directions. Just a bit of dry brush there. That's fine, leave it at that. Let's just give it a little spray. So could do with painting these shadows coming across here while the paper is, while this bead is here, should I say. So let's go for, kind of looks purple across the road to me, so let's go with that. So again, needs to be thick paint, the right consistency to do it first time round. If I have to do it twice, it'll lose all its freshness, and you've got the chance of it just looking overworked. So let's bring that to there. So we'll kind of come over the path here. And I'll use just some clean water. Just to see what that does. And then into the green, which we'll use. Let's use up that Viridian. Get it gone. And I need to pop a load of blue into that, maybe a bit of neutral tint. Very real dark. So, and you can go quite dark with watercolor, but as long as you put it on without messing about too much, it's going to be okay. So I envisioned painting that bit up first and coming down to here, but that's what's happened. So now I need to put some of that light across here. So got some warmth going across here, a little bit in there. So this is kind of where you got to just hope for the best. Leave a bit of sparkle behind. Light here with a bit of detail with the trees here, so it's hard edges. Comes across here, connects up to there. So again, same as I did on the other one, really, that as long as I don't mess about with it, get the correct darkness in there. So I've run out of Viridian, so we'll We can get to a nice dark green another way, a bit of yellow and blue. That's why I really honestly don't get too obsessed with colours, because there's so many different ways you can arrive at the colours you need. It's more about the tonal value. So painting a few darks into there, but again, you've got to be quick because this is drying really quickly. But this has all been treated as a flat shape. Now I don't want to be messing about with it. Again, let's grab a bit of water, throw it on there, just let it splash down, see what it does, give it a little spray. Catch your breath at this point. This is a tricky scene, to be fair, that while both of them, there is no easy watercolors. I've just softened that with a bit of water there, but don't really want to be messing about with that anymore because we need that light. A scene like this is, you've really kind of got to know watercolor inside and out, and the only way you're going to do that is by painting a lot. That you can, not saying you don't want to be watching my demos, of course, but you do need to put the hours in painting. I'm just going to lose a few of those because that's the only way you're going to know what happens when you do things like this. Now let's dry that off. I've got a big splodgy mess here, but a mistake will look fine if it's not fixed. So if I just leave it, it'll be fine. But if I try to perhaps do something else with that, it'll be a mess. Maybe dry it. I could then come in with a darker area there possibly, but let's not mess about with it at this sort of dangerous stage. Hopefully you enjoy this video and you get something from it. If you do, please do hit that like and subscribe. This is a fairly new channel which I'm trying to grow. Some of you may already know that I've got some other channels, Loose Watercolors with Robert Me and Oil Painting with Robert Me. These are slightly larger channels with all my latest demos. So this channel here is more for sharing other stuff that I do and perhaps some of my older demos as well, which I think still got some value in them. So let's get on with the video. Thanks for watching. Depends on what you're painting. So I just need now some darker trees across here, but I'll just have to use some water to soften some of those. But it's all kind of down to preference, what you like. That someone may not like all the softness. Someone may like sort of harder edges. That I get comments all the time on my videos that some people obviously like the videos, that but I get plenty of people who don't like them, and they like to voice that that they think it's not very good, blah blah blah. It's all just down to personal taste. Personally, I wouldn't necessarily comment on someone else's video to say I didn't like it, but some people feel the need, but I just ignore them, and if it's really nasty, I'll hide them from the channel so they never see any of my videos again. But nice dark here. I'll break it up so it sort of looks like it's going through that bush. Keep it and not too straight. We want it to fit into the painting, and you don't have to paint them all, just one or two branches. We can even put some across in here, but you've got to be careful at this stage. You don't sort of spoil that the freshness of the scene. I can even just use my finger just to soften that in there. I think that's probably enough there. So maybe just a little bit of dry brush just to suggest a little bit of texture in there with a little bit of a blob of paint. So let's just turn that into a bird there. So I think I'll leave that as it is. That the temptation is to maybe put a figure in, but I think it's quite nice as it is. So let's take the tape off. Both papers are very good, but Saunders and Waterford is very good. So I think as long as you're painting on a good quality 100% cotton paper, it doesn't have to be either of these brands, you'll have a lot more success with watercolor. And that's kind of, I noticed the big change in my watercolors when I switched to higher quality paper. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Please do hit the like and subscribe. Check the link in the description to my other channels, and also I've got membership through my website if you want to watch the videos without adverts, and meet me on a live stream, and we can actually paint together on a live stream as well. So until next time, bye for now.